Hi, I'm Boris the Bee Guy. In winter, my beehives are quiet, covered with snow, and that silence can be unsettling. One simple way I check on my bees is right here, in the snow. Seeing a few dead bees on the snow is actually a good sign. It means the colony is alive, individual bees die naturally in winter, and the caretaker bees carry their dead out of the hive. What would worry me more is seeing no dead bees on the snow at all. Of course, I'm not talking about piles of dead bees, just a few. And I'm also looking for something else that I don't see here. There's no liquid yellowish poop around the hive, which means the bees are healthy, no gut diseases. Gut diseases are often the result of artificial feeds that disagree with the bees' guts. I make sure my bees winter on sufficient stores of their own naturally foraged honey, and I only harvest surplus honey if there is any surplus. At my secluded Forest Beehive Apiary, I keep fewer than 10 hives so that I don't host more bees than locally available natural forage would allow. And with my bees having sufficient natural foraging spring to fall, I don't have to resort to any supplemental sugar feeding. Bees on the snow can only tell me that the colony is alive with no gut problems, but it doesn't tell me how well the bees are wintering. So starting this spring, I'm adding a modern, non-invasive way to keep monitoring the health of my colonies. Not by opening hives, not by disturbing the cluster, but by monitoring temperature over time remotely. Most hive temperature sensors today use Bluetooth signal. In practice, Bluetooth only works when the beehives are clustered very closely together. That kind of conventional setup is convenient for the beekeeper, but it's not good for the bees. It increases drift, robbing, and disease spread by sharing parasites and pathogens among bee colonies. That's why most of my hives are spread out, some hundreds of feet apart. So instead of monitoring hive temperature with conventional short-range Bluetooth, I'm using a newer LoRa signal. LoRa stands for long range and works over long distances, and each of my LoRa-enabled temperature sensors is even cheaper than Bluetooth, $37 a sensor. These sensors are outdoor rated, and battery lasts for 5 years and can then be replaced. Each sensor talks to the same central hub over 1,000 feet away, and that hub connects to my Wi-Fi. And using the YOLO app, I can monitor temperature remotely from anywhere. Here, I'm unboxing YOLO Wi-Fi hub and the outdoor temperature sensors. And here's where I will place the temperature sensors inside my horizontal layers hives. Temperature probe will be placed above the tops of the frames over the cluster. In winter, the sensor would be below the sackcloth pillow with raw sheep wool inside, but will stay way above the bees. There'll be a small air gap, enough to measure overall hive temperature without disturbing the bees. I'm not trying to measure the exact cluster core temperature. That would be invasive. By placing a sensor on top of the frames, the temperature will be a couple of degrees off. But what I care about are temperature trends, how temperature changes over time. Even if the readings are a degree or two lower than the cluster itself, the pattern tells the story. Stable temperature, sudden drops, spring brood start. That's how I'll monitor my colony's health throughout the year. Because the probe sits on top of the frames, the bees won't propolize it. It's outside their living space, under insulation, and it stays undisturbed. So, while seeing a few dead bees on the snow tells me my colonies are alive, the temperature patterns will tell me how well they are doing, and I will do it without opening the hive and without stressing the colony. I'll put links to the monitoring gear I'm using in the description of the video. As an Amazon associate, I earn from qualifying purchases.